This conference will now be recorded.
We are going to go ahead and get this party started if you guys are ready. It is 7:30 on a Monday morning. I want to say good Monday morning to everybody. We are going to start our leadership roundtable for November and talk about communication. So, like always, everyone is invited to join this call. It is one of the requirements for our leadership group this year. So it is to give you the information that you can pass on to your chapters, things like that. Hopefully, you will have some good tidbits of information to take back to your chapters. But then again, you can announce this to your entire chapter and have them join the call too. So let's start by our introductions. That's something we always want to do, is to make sure everybody knows who is a part of BNI. And we know that Dr. Ivan Meisner is our Chief Visionary Officer and our founder, which the organization is run by Graham Juan Miller, which is our CEO, and he is out of Charlotte, North Carolina. We do have Dave Driscoll, who is our regional director, and he's based out of Columbia, Missouri, and he is part of the head for BNI of the Ozarks. And then we have the regional team. The regional team consists of myself, Casey Howell, and Angie Johnson Posey out of Missouri. We have Winnie DeWitt and Dustin Latchford in the Arkansas area. Then we have support staff. And our support staff tier has been restructured just a tiny bit. So we have Selena Ulasewicz in the Conway area. We have Megan Frank and Karen Moner in the Missouri area. Karen does cross state lines and move over into Arkansas and helps out Jonesboro. Then we have Jerry Baker, Greg Vaughn, and Marsha McKinney. These three will be transitioning from ambassadors to support directors. So we want to give them a big round of applause and welcome them to the team. We are the structure has changed just a tiny bit, and so we're going to have all support directors versus ambassadors now. Um, One of the core values, that things that we like to do in BNI, is to talk about the core values. And I have my favorites, but we want to get the perspective of other members. And so, Greg Vaughn, tell us what your favorite core value is and why you identify with that core value.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I was waiting for somebody to say good morning back.
Well, good morning.
So my favorite core value is accountability. And I'll tell you guys a quick story, and some of you may have heard me tell this story before, but I was meeting in kind of a non-BNI capacity with some BNI folks a couple months back, and they were talking about how they hated all the BNI rules. They hated all the BNI rules. They paid a lot of money and they should be able to do this and do that. And one of them said, "Well, you know what? We should just start our own little coffee group. You know, we'll meet at the Huddle House, you know, one day a week, and you know, and we don't have to follow all these rules." And the other one looked at him and said, "But how will we get people to show up every week?" Accountability. They answered their own question. They said that they hated the BNI rules, but then they realized that anything else was just a supper club. Anything else is just a coffee meeting, and you can't get people to show up for that because there's no accountability. Just like a kid in school has a report card, their check, which that kind of goes more toward the Power One report. I'm sorry about that, but I mean it is kind of like that. You know, you've got these rules in place that are put there to keep everybody on the same page, to make everybody know what's going on, to let them kind of be directed in the same direction as everybody else in every other chapter, and especially their home chapter. So that's why I like accountability, because it holds everybody responsible. It holds everybody together like glue, and there are no unknowns in that.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for that. Accountability is one of my top three, um, as well as that giver's gain attitude. And thank you very much for popping in, Greg. Um, The Power of One report, we do not have the November Power of One report yet. It should come out late. Let's see, this is the 4th. We should have it by next Monday. It usually comes out the second Tuesday of the month. So these people are still kind of hanging over from October. So congratulations again to you guys for that 100% status, because you guys did truly follow that Power of One and that giver's gain, where you had one-to-one with someone every week. You attended one meeting every single week. You had a referral to somebody. You had a chapter education unit, and you had at least one visitor for the month. So congratulations to you guys again. Next time we will have the November, and how the December meeting falls, we may have November and December up here. Don't forget the chapter recognition. If your chapter is doing something truly great and you are really celebrating some milestones with individual businesses of people in your chapter, things great with BNI, please bring recognition to those people, and also let us know about it as well, because we would really like to make everybody in the region know that, hey, these are some great things going on. I'm still divvying out name badges. So Tamara, I know that I'm coming up there tomorrow. I'll bring those. I will bring the other name badges with me, and I will be able to make those on site if I don't have somebody. Cape area, if I'm supposed to be bringing you guys badges, please let me know and remind me so I can have those packed, because I've had a lot of things this past week and I know I have badges laying around everywhere. So just shoot me a reminder email. Also, BNI has a contest going on, and it's a visitor contest, and it's a December to remember. So what you can do is fill the room with visitors every week through November 30th. The qualifying chapter in your area with the highest average of visitors per member wins a party up to $400. So BNI will help pay for your holiday party. So you guys log those visitors, register them. Whoever closes the Palms report, make sure that you do count those visitors who have attended, and we will see who qualifies. I do know that we have a couple of qualifying chapters already, because they are constantly bringing visitors, and I know it's going to carry over. So congratulations to you guys. We do have new members. Taryn Davis with Creators of Business. She has joined, and she has changed companies. So she is a new member under a new company. We have Janet Johnson with Profit Masters. We have Brandon Wooten with SEMO Prosperity, and Lucy Wheeler with Bluff City. You guys, congratulations and welcome to BNI. One of the things that we want you guys to do in the first 30 days of becoming a BNI member is take the online and be able to log in, so you can log all of your CEUs, your referrals. Also take the Member Success Program training on BNI University. This is going to give you a great foundation to BNI and help you catapult forward in growing your business and learning how to pass those referrals. So your mentor coordinators should be getting with you and helping you through that process. Any regional announcements, anything that you guys want to bring attention to, please let your support directors know, let myself know, because we do have other areas where we can post this information. They do have BNI newsletters, and they want to know all the great things that you guys are doing. This is something that we're kind of lacking in, is people wanting to showcase their talents and also bring awareness to some of the great things that they have done. So be sure to share that information, not with just your chapter, but the entire region. Members immediate resolution needed. I think we've got some of these already taken care of. I ran this report several days ago. So if you do have anybody that's on the immediate resolution team, call my name droppers. I think we have Ryan Evans taken care of. creators of business, we need the VP to go in and either do the pre-approval for the people needing to renew. And Zane, I think we got you taken care of now, and Nathan both. And Annette, I'm almost positive we got you taken care of and resolved. So the least amount of people that can be on this report, the better. That means that we just have something that's lagging or missing, and we need to get those resolved so everybody has access to BNI Connect and they can do their referrals. Members up for renewal December 1st, you guys need to be working on these people now, because with the new structure of the late fees, and when that is invoked and then they do lose access to BNI Connect if they're 16 days late, some of these may have already been resolved and off of the report because you know it's coming. You can always renew early. It does not change your renewal date. It just adds more time to you. But we've got B2B, we have Conway, name droppers, natural networkers, and creators of business. You all have somebody that's up for renewal December 1st, as well as the CMO chapters and Bluff City. So you guys work on those so they do not become late and lose access to that information. I do know that leaders and mentors, make sure that you are getting the new people through the member success program training. This is the list that I had. I ran on 10/27 of people who have not had member success program training. If they've taken it through BNI University and they had completed it, then all I need is to say, hey, this person has completed it. I can go in, verify, and then I can remove them from the list. They really strive to get members through the BNI University Member Success Program training within the first 15 days, because it is a great start, and we want them to have that momentum catapulting them forward and bringing that fresh energy. I do know some of the people on here may be older members that have never taken it. And are these members being successful? Are they not? Are they the ones who are in the green or in the top of their member traffic light, or are they at the bottom? And there is a correlation between all of these numbers and what they have done. So if we can get them through that, they're going to see an increase. And so we're going to talk about the importance of chapter education. And Steve Ardenell, I see you on here. Can you self-unmute? Because we're going to have Steve talk about his experience with the chapter education and what he does, how he learns, and what he has gotten out of getting his education.
Good morning.
Good morning, Steve.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. So give us a little education moment. Tell us your experience with the chapter education, because just a little bit of information about Stephen. He is one of our, I'm going to say, newer members of the Conway Name Droppers, and he is also the new president of his chapter. So Steve, will you just give a little brief overview of who you are, your business, and then tell us about your chapter education?
Okay, so I'm Steve Ardno with Amazing Grace Restoration. We do fire, water, and mold restoration here out of Conway and Faulkner County. And so, one of the things that sticks out to me as a business owner, but also in BNI, is something that Ivan Meisner said was, you learn to earn, right? And if you're not learning, you're probably not earning. And so I stuck that in the back of my mind in one of the podcasts that I watched with him. But I think just being able to understand through the BNI education system how it works, the structure, the standard, and being able to take that right off the bat from day one. Hey, how can I learn this? What do I learn about this? How do I do one-to-ones? How do I do how do I get more visitors in? Because, as a service industry guy, sometimes we're just go, 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 and we don't think about visitors sometimes. But being able to learn those key moments when you hear somebody start talking about wanting to grow their business, well, how do you get them in the chapter at that point? How do you get them to visit? And so just being able to take those courses online from my desk, whether it's listening to a podcast at my desk or watching a video webinar, or even like now, just being on here and on the leadership roundtable every month and being able to drive to work, but yet I'm still learning by listening, by talking, hands-free, of course. But just being able to take those learning moments and turning them into success moments, being able to learn as much as I can. And that's just what I do in business as well. Is in my line of work, we're certified. We've got certifications. We don't just stop at one, even though that's all we need. We just continue to learn so we can earn and be more successful down the road. And so I've taken that approach in BNI, and I'm so thankful that BNI has that online capabilities to make it accessible for the brand new member as well as the person that's been there for 3 to 4 years. Is, hey, how can I continue to be successful or become even more successful? Get into the chapter education.
Absolutely. I know that even with my profession, I have to have continuing education every single year, and I have to submit that in order to keep my license to do what it is I do for a living. I have found that some of the podcasts, not all of them, but some of them actually help me be a better business person, and it has absolutely nothing to do with functioning in BNI. So.
Correct.
So I appreciate you stepping in and talking about your experience, Dave. Thanks so much. Okay, so how do we learn how to navigate the BNI Connect system? You guys that are putting in information, everywhere that you find a little question mark, you can actually click on it. And it actually gives you a how-to guide. So if you're struggling with putting in referrals, CEUs, information like that on the desktop, just click that little question mark and it's going to give you a how-to guide. So don't forget to use that. You're more than welcome to ask your support directors or myself, and we will help walk you through it. But utilize this system and it helps track what you've brought in. It helps track what has been contributed to your company as far as growth, as well as the amount of referrals you've given other people. So we do have a time management webinar that's going to be led by our support director, Selena Ulasowicz. She's with Impact Life Coaching. And it's really for these you guys, the new leaders in your roles, and how do you balance that with your everyday life? Selena has been a leader. She also has children. She has a company that she's running. And so one of the things she is going to do for you guys in this territory is she's going to do a little 30-minute webinar and give you some great tips. This is something that you can go to the BNI of the Ozarks events calendar and you can register for. And it's going to be on the 12th, which is next Tuesday morning at 8:30. So this is just another little benefit that you're going to have access to. So I encourage you guys to log in and listen and see what Selena has to say. But today, the meat of today's topic is communication. Who to communicate to, what are you trying to communicate, when do you need to communicate it, where is the correct place to communicate, and why are you communicating? These are all the pondering questions that we have. And so when we communicate, we always need to communicate to whom we need to transfer information, who we need to get information out of, and we need to do it efficiently. And sometimes we need to be way more direct with some people than others. There's different communication styles out there. And I know that I haven't asked Karen, but I know Karen is on our call. And she is also does a lot of training with communication styles. So Karen, I may lean on you and ask you a few questions with this as well. So what are we trying to communicate? A lot of times we're trying to communicate people using the power of one report that is helping them put their information in. Are they being accountable? And that goes back to what Greg was saying earlier. We're holding everybody accountable because I've paid for this seat. I want people to hear my sales manager moment, and I want them to go out there and market for me. And I turn around, need to do the same thing for them. So communication is listening, actively listening, telling people what it is that you want, being very specific. There are also the good, the bad, the ugly that we're going to talk about. Tim Roberts, our executive national director, he talks about the consistency of follow-up, the consistency of communication. And episode, I think it's 98, my screen is partially covered here. That is a great webinar or podcast to listen to that gives you really good tips to follow with the communication. Another thing that you can use to communicate, and it also attributes to the value of your membership, by filling out your gains profile. What are your goals? What is it that brought you to BNI? Why did you buy that seat? Why did you join? What do you want to accomplish out of being part of BNI? What do you want to accomplish in your business? What are your life goals? What are your life plans? What is the interest that you have? Do you network in other places? Do you network with just women? Do you network in just BNI? Do you do some Chamber of Commerce events? Those are connections. Those are connections that can help put you in touch with other people. And what are your skills? Sometimes it's important to communicate those skills because we don't realize what it takes to be in the profession that you are in. So if you do take the time and sit down and be really reflective with your gains profile, what is this gains profile good for? It is giving to other members. When you do sit down and have a one-to-one, you're communicating to them, what are your aspirations? What do you want to do? Where have you been? Where are you wanting to go? And these are some really important things to pass along information from one member to another and helping each other grow their businesses. There is actually an agenda for just about everything in BNI. There is an agenda that you can go through by using the gains profile. When you sit down and have the one-to-ones, there is a structured meeting agenda that you get through in passing certain information along. Yeah, we want to have fun, but we're there for business first and foremost. So who are you? What do you stand for? Those are all important things that we need to communicate to other members. Communicating your sales manager moment. Stick to your category and stay in your lane. Be very specific. And we have this term, specific is terrific. When we join BNI, we join and we need to communicate to those new members saying that we have one person per profession. Now, there's a little, so the categories can have subcategories. And you can have one person per subcategory. So insurance, we always pick on insurance because it has so many different sectors. It has commercial insurance, it has P&C, you have life insurance, you have health insurance, and you have people that are very, very specific as to what they sell. And then you have what you call your license, that what allows you to sell. If you have a license, and I'm going to pick on myself, for example, I have a license. I have a nationally recognized licensed EMT certification, and it says under emergency circumstances, I can deliver children in childbirth. I would not suggest that because I don't want to catch a baby because I am not comfortable with that. That is not something that I do every single day. And I'm sure those people who are out there who are pregnant would not want me to deliver their child. But the thing is I have certain health and safety aspects that I'm very, very comfortable with. And that is what I want to focus on growing, because I'm really good at it and I'm very specific. And that opens up the health and safety sector for other people to be in my contact sphere and that I can refer to back and forth. So back to the insurance. And I see, all right, I'm gonna see who can I pick on that's on. Trevor is on here. So Trevor, do you have the ability to unmute yourself? I know you didn't know that I was going to call on you, but we are one of the few areas that they allow us to do our leadership roundtable via webinar. Everybody else does theirs live and in person. So Trevor, if you do have the ability to unmute yourself, if you can, pop in when you have a moment. But Trevor is in my home chapter and he is a commercial insurance agent. He works well with another insurance agent from another company that does some of the stuff that he cannot. And so you do have companies that are able to pass back and forth even amongst the insurance world. Now, does Trevor have people in his office that might can do the same things? Very possibly. But then again, he may not, so he may have to refer to another insurance agent in our group. So that's just one example of sticking to your category, staying in your lane, and being very, very specific, and how cross-chapter communication can work, how cross-company communication can work in passing those referrals and making sure that our clients are taken care of. I know that, Tamara, I'm going to pick on you for just a little bit. You guys have an insurance agent that wants all of the business. And so, having somebody who does just life would be a huge asset to him because we've talked about it. But then again, he takes his license and he doesn't think about the other connections that he's not allowing in the chapter. And so the membership committee has, I guess at one point agreed not to have another insurance agent in the chapter. But you have to realize that you're really closing off your connections when you start to limit and restrict. So communicate the good, the bad, the ugly. What if someone starts marketing for what you're doing for a living? You have to communicate with that person. If that person is stepping on my toes, then I want to bring that to their attention. They may not know that they are stepping on my toes. And so I need to sit down and I need to communicate with that person. I say, hey, we are both in here. We do very similar things. This is kind of what my category says. And we're going to go by what category is in the system and what's listed. And so we're going to take, that's not going to work. So we're going to take a category, and let's see if I can pick on myself because there's not very many people who do what I do. So if I am in there, okay, so that's actually Rita, you're on the call. Can you unmute yourself, Rita?
Good morning.
Good morning, Rita. I'm going to have you jump in on this conversation because I'm going to pick on me and you, if you're okay with that.
Sure, why not? It's Monday. Go for it.
Okay, so I am in BNI as a health consultant, and I focus in CPR and first aid training. Also, I do health and wellness supplements, and essential oils is one of those. So when I go and I visit Rita's chapter, I definitely do not want to talk about essential oils because that is why Rita is in BNI. So Rita, how would you feel if I came in and say, yeah, we have a brand new product. I'm a health and safety consultant, and one of the things I do is health CPR and first aid training, but I want to talk about this because it is so great. Young Living has a brand new holiday set of oils that you can get. It's limited time only, so come to me and I can order your essential oils. Now, Rita, how does that make you feel?
Oh, it definitely encroached upon just because that's my niche. That's why I paid for the seat at the table. Um, the dynamic would really be, gosh, um, not the best dynamic ever because then
Hmm.
I'm put into a very uncomfy position. Um, and it
Yeah,
makes it uncomfortable for everyone in the room. So,
exactly, because your chapter is going to take your side and they're going to be mad at me. And I know you guys on this call, that is not the case. I'm just picking on Rita because, we both do the same thing. And actually, I signed up under Rita. So I
yeah,
feel
so
like I,
so truth be told, in that particular instance, it would still be to my benefit. So I'd probably keep my mouth shut, but that's not the point here.
yeah, exactly. So just to give you guys an example, this would be something that would be not good for me. People would lose credibility in me and trust me because I have just stepped on their members' toes. Rita is in there specifically for essential oils. And so I do not want to encroach on that. Now, that would be me visiting her chapter. We do have things that happen in the same chapter, and we see a lot of this with, and I'm going to pick on insurance again. A lot of our insurance agents will have the ability to write life insurance, but then we have some people who are specifically life insurance people. So if we do not communicate with that person, then things can go sideways. And we have the membership committee that we can communicate with if it does not get resolved. But the thing is we don't want to take it to that level. We are all adults. So if you pay for a seat and that is your category, then you need to stay in your lane and not communicate that information just willy-nilly in your sales manager moments, because now you can be perceived as somebody who is stepping on another's toes, and that you're not utilizing that giver's gain mentality. So, long story short, agree when you sign that application and you turn it in, you agree to stay within that business classification that was approved by the membership committee. Members of BNI who represent multi-level marketing organizations, they are there to sell their products and services. If somebody was to sign up and become a distributor as well, great. But really, you should focus on the products and the services offered and not as a business opportunity to recruit. That is just a bonus after you talk to people and have one-to-ones, and that they may see enough value in the product that they fall under it also. I know that we have other products out there like that. I know Mary Kay is like that. I know, Jerry, you're on the call. Jerry, you do very well in talking about the products and things like that, but definitely it would help you if you had other people sign up under it. Kathy, I think you were on the call also. uh, I guess Kathy jumped off, and I do not see some of the others, because Juice Plus is another product where it's a multi-level marketing. You really promote the product and try to sell the product. If other people sign up for it, great. But the thing is, now that you're a representative and a distributor for that product, that does not give you the right to talk about it in BNI. You can discuss it with people when you have one-to-ones. There's nothing saying that you can't talk about it then, but the thing is, what are you in BNI for? What is the number one thing that you are trying to promote? And that is your organization, your category that is on your application, and that you have to stick with that. So let's talk about some of the best practice. Presidents, you guys are the overseers. You're making sure that that meeting is running efficiently. You're using the approved BNI agenda. If you are not using the approved BNI agenda that was sent out to you guys, let me know and I will resend it to you. We definitely want to make sure that we hit all the aspects of the meeting because there are hidden elements. It is something to really show these visitors how great BNI can be, how it can grow their business, how we function. And if they go and visit 3 or 4 chapters before they make their decision and see meetings run completely different across the same community, then they're going to say, hey, well, why does this one do this? Why does that one do that? You all are going to put your own spin on it and your own personal flair, but you need to hit all of the topics that are approved on the BNI agenda. Members, best practices for vice presidents, membership applications. This right here is very, very important because we have got to have a paper trail if there's any changes in anybody's membership. So you were approved of by the membership committee to discuss what is on it as far as company classification, subcategory, whatever it is that you put on your initial application, that was approved by the membership committee. If any aspects of your membership and what you do for a living has changed, you have to fill out a new application. The application has to have what it is, because that is like a contract, and that contract has to be uploaded and put in BNI Connect, and that is your category. So if your company name has changed, you will need to fill out a new application. If you changed your name, you need to fill out a new application. Now, this does not mean that you have to pay. It just means that we have the paper trail of the changes. If your classification has changed, then you need to fill out a new application. And the reason being is we have to have this paper trail. And this paper trail is just like any HR documentation. And so the vice president is the chair of the membership committee, so they need to make sure this is being done. If somebody, so for instance, we have somebody who leaves, and we've had this a lot here lately, so I think all chapters can identify. We have a member who has left a company. They do the same thing with another organization. Now, if the organization that they used to work for paid for that membership, then that seat immediately comes open. It's fair game. So the company that they just left has rights to apply for it. The person who just left and everybody has a relationship with has the right to apply for it under the new company that they work for, as well as anybody else who does that. Now, all the applications go to the membership committee. They discuss, they do background, they do reference checks and all this stuff, and they do their due diligence, and they choose who is best for the chapter. That could be the person they already have relationships with. That could be the company that they already had in there and they're just putting a new member in there. It could be a number of different dynamics, but the membership committee has to go through the due diligence to make sure that they choose the correct person for the chapter. Not that because it's their best friend that owns the company, and they need to go through, and there is a process, and I emailed that process out to all the vice presidents. If you do not have that paperwork any longer, please let me know and I will be glad to email it to you again. Now, we had some questions on, well, who paid for the membership, who didn't. If there is a receipt and you can show who paid for it, and if it was a personal membership, then that time goes with that member. If you have a receipt and it shows that the company paid for it, the company keeps that time and they get a certificate of credit that they can attach to another individual if they are chosen to be in the chapter. Now, with all, okay, Jerry, I seen that message. I'll answer that here in just a little bit. So make sure that you have all of that information, you have the documentation, because we cannot go in BNI Connect and change a company name. We have proper processes and protocols that we have to follow in order to do that. Secretary treasurers, leadership best practices. budgets, paying the bills, meeting space. Remember that you are here to market your business every single week. And so we have a thing called that some areas do that's called a progressive one-to-one. And you got to, so I don't, so Karen or Megan, will you explain what you guys, what that is in Missouri?
I can, or Megan, either one. In our area, what happens is on the 5th, if a month has 5 weeks in it, where you would normally meet 5 times, on that 5th week, we do not meet as a group for a regular meeting. Instead, we have a progressive one-to-one. And what we do is that we choose a few members of the chapter, and then we go as a collective group, hopefully, and we visit each member's business to learn more about their business and how we can better refer them.
Okay, well, thank you very much. So now that you've heard that, there's no such thing as a progressive one-to-one. You're actually veering from your weekly meeting, and you're not being conducive to every member of your chapter. It may work for a majority of your chapter, but it's not going to work for everybody, because you have to think about, is this the business owner that's a member of BNI? Is it their business? Are they the owner, or is it a workplace and they are an employee of it? Does that disrupt the workday? Also, you're asking members who have agreed to come to an hour-and-a-half meeting at this location at this time to market their sales manager moments. If you have a progressive one-to-one, do you have an opportunity to do your ask, deliver your sales manager moment? And the answer is, I'm going to say probably not, because you're not running a structured meeting. So what you can do is, if you do have 5 weeks versus 4 weeks, you can move the meeting to a different location, but you need to run the agenda. So the progressive one-to-ones, if you do that, it technically should take outside place of your regular meeting time and space. So those chapters that are doing that, are you 100% certain that you are being equally beneficial to every single member of the chapter when you up and move the chapter to go have a progressive one-to-one or go to a meeting place to visit? Are you getting what you wanted out of your membership? And I'm going to say the answer is probably no, because everybody has a different style. And so you have the introverts that don't communicate, and talk to people. They'll talk to 1 or 2 people because that's who they're comfortable with. Now we have missed out on what their big thing is that they're trying to sell that week. So I'm going to say that's probably not best practice. So make sure that you are budgeting enough funds for your meeting space for either 4 or 5 weeks out of the month. You may have to go in and run some budgets, crunch some numbers, and if it may mean raising your monthly dues a tiny bit to pay for your meeting space, then that's what you need to look at. There are meeting spaces that are cheaper, some are more expensive, the larger your groups are, but then you have everybody who is contributing. So I'm going to highly suggest that those of you who are taking that 5th week off, that it's an injustice to your entire chapter. And then, of course, there are other resources out there. So leadership teams, BNI of the Ozarks, definitely utilize the member and leadership tab resources for just about anything that you could need. Entering applications, submitting and dropping members, that has changed, and you need to go through BNI of the Ozarks now and use that leadership tab. If you need to order chapter supplies, get those directly to me. And so Jonesboro chapters, you guys, and the Missouri chapters, I need you guys to get me any supply requests today, since I will be leaving at 4:30 in the morning, headed that direction. I will bring any supplies. If you need name badges or anything, I need that list today, and I will get those up there to you guys. So any supplies come directly to me. If you have trouble with mobile app, BNI Connect. There are question tabs. Utilize this because it can answer a lot of your questions. I do have the BNI application process. Again, best practice for vice presidents that I was talking about a while ago. If you need the information, I will email it to you again. Holiday schedules. If you guys have your meeting falls on a holiday, I know that Christmas and New Year's Day both fall on a Wednesday this year. So if you're meeting the day before, the day after, please let your support directors and myself know what your holiday schedule intent is. Because when it comes to traveling, my schedule gets a little bit wonky, and I don't want to be halfway to visit the Prophet Masters up in Jackson, which is 4 hours and 45 minutes from my house, and then find out that you guys aren't meeting. So
Hey,
definitely
Barbara.
get your, uh-huh.
Sorry, I'm raising my hand, but you can't see me.
Okay, sorry.
I have a question on that. Should, if you have holidays that fall on your meeting day, should your chapter move the meeting day, or should they just take all those days off? What is the stance on that?
That would be a perfect time to have a progressive one-to-one. Because what BNI says, and this is from Dr. Ivan Meisner himself, and also Tim Roberts, the National Executive Director, has also said it. When you miss multiple weeks of meetings, you do lose momentum. So you should still have one-to-ones. You should still try to network with one another, but how you do it may be a different manner. So those two the Wednesday chapters, you're not going to meet on Christmas Day. You're not going to meet on New Year's Day. But the thing is, that's a perfect time for smaller groups, contact spheres to get together on a different day. But then again, you cannot hold attendance accountable because that is not what the member signed up for. They signed up for a meeting at this time on this day. So you have to take that into account. I know that people are going to have holiday parties, so they may cancel a meeting in order to have a holiday party. You need to have a contingency plan for weather. So if you have, let's say, Christmas Day, and you guys decide to do something either the day after Christmas or that Thursday, that would be a perfect time for a progressive one-to-one because you can't have your regular meeting due to a holiday. Does that help?
Absolutely.
Okay. So if you guys are one of those chapters that it does fall on a holiday, please let us know right away what your intent is. Be sure you log your CEUs for this webinar. And then our next webinar for our Leadership Roundtable is going to be December 2nd at 7:30. And we're going to go through all of the core values and what they are, why it matters, and how we can demonstrate using those in everyday life as well as BNI. But I do want to caution you that it is getting into that winter weather. Typically in the southern states, we see more of it in the January time frame, but then weird things happen. I was up in Kansas City last week and it was snowing and sleeting up there. Who knows what's going to happen tomorrow? It might be snowing and sleeting, and then the next day we have tornadoes and it's 70 degrees. So just always have a contingency plan for winter weather. I think the rule of thumb for BNI is if the local school district is closed, you do not have a meeting, but you can still talk to people via phone, webinar, all that good stuff. So this is now the time for open mic. So what questions can I answer for anybody who is on the call today?
Hey, Barbara, real quick, how many CEUs does everybody get for being on this webinar this morning?
They have changed it. So if you log in and log a CEU, you get one CEU for 1 hour. So even if it's under an hour, you are going to log one.
Okay, thank you.
This is your chance to ask questions.
I have a question for everybody,
Okay.
if I can. So how many other, obviously we're familiar with this progressive one-to-one concept in the Cape Girardeau area. What other areas, because I know we've got some different parts of our region on here, have did something like this? And what was the, what do you guys feel was the participation level of your chapter in that?
I can speak for Arkansas that we've never done anything like that in Arkansas. The only place I've heard of it is in the SEMO area.
Is there anybody on the call from Bluff City this morning?
Yeah, Darla's on.
Can maybe Darla can unmute herself and explain what they did last week? They had some kind of a contest within their chapter that I thought was pretty awesome, and it was called
I'm
Turkey
with
Trot.
Sites and Synergy.
Oh, sorry, Darla.
This is Laura. I am on the call. I'm
Okay.
president of Bluff
Okay.
City.
Okay, Laura. Sorry, I couldn't see your name. Sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. And when you were asking who might be caller 1 or 2, my husband was in the shower, and I didn't think he wanted to hear that, so I didn't unmute myself at that point. But yeah,
Okay.
we did what we call a turkey trot. So we had quite a slide in our actual number of members over the last 12 months, and we kind of brainstormed to figure out what we could do to target specific categories and increase visitor traffic and excuse me. So we split up into 4 teams, and we had a contest to see within 1 hour which team could make contact with one person or anybody from any of these desired categories. And then the winner, everybody kind of brought some little swag stuff, and they all competed very, very aggressively, I would say. But we had 2 of our teams. Now, we're in a small town, and it's relatively easy to do this, but we had 2 of our teams that made contact in 1 hour. And when I say contact, that particular person we were looking for made contact with 14 of our most desired category people in town. And they took little goodie bags that their teams came up with on their own. And in each little goodie bag was something that stated, hey, we would like for you to join us for one of our meetings to see what we do. Everybody was following up with the people they made contact with. There were several that more than one team made contact with. But anyway, we got lots of buzz. I was at a First Friday Coffee that next Friday morning, and there were several people at that event that knew I was involved with Bluff City B&I, who then approached me and wanted to know more. So it obviously was very effective. And over this next couple of weeks, we're going to see how many visitors from those desired categories are generated, and that's how the winner is determined.
Very cool. And so so is this something you did last week? And so have any of those people been able to attend a meeting yet?
That was at our Wednesday meeting last week. This will be our first week afterward. So I am keeping my fingers crossed. I think there were 2 that I saw on Friday at the First Friday Coffee that confirmed they had planned to come either this week or next. And I am looking forward, because I was out of town starting Friday afternoon, I'm looking forward to meeting or talking with some of my leadership to find out what they have heard and see how many visitors we're actually going to end up being registered.
Very cool. And we may want to do like a little follow-up with this event, the next call, so that all the other chapters can hear the outcome.
Oh, you bet. I'd be happy to.
All right, great. I had a question in the chat come up. Let's see. Do contact sphere meetings and power team meetings count as one-to-ones? The answer to that is no. but you are talking about business and things like that. So you don't need to put everybody in the contact sphere meeting in a one-to-one. Usually if you're sitting in a circle, put the person to the left. That way you technically get 2 one-to-ones if you had 15, because your regular meeting that you have, you don't put every single member in and have a one-to-one with them during your regular meeting. But if you are talking about business and you're growing and targeting people, then that is absolutely something you need to get credit for. So just put the person to your left, and you need everybody to be sure to do that in your circle. And that way you do get credit for having a one-to-one, but it's not technically a one-to-one setting, if that makes sense. All right, folks. Any last comments, concerns, questions? So did you find some of this content useful and helpful today? I'm hoping.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. All right. So we're going to close with a quote. And Karen, you should appreciate this because it's a John C. Maxwell quote that we're going to end with. A leader is someone who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. So I know we talked about a lot of best practices and things we should do, things we kind of need to steer away from. Hopefully you can take some of this knowledge, you can go forth and really include everybody in your chapter with all the events that you do in the meetings. So go forth, network, and grow your business, folks. Grow your business. That is it for today.
Hey, Barbara, do you happen to still be on?
Yep, I'm here.
This is Laura again at Bluff City. You said you needed to know if we needed any name badges. You were coming up this way. Lacey Wheeler, can you happen to bring one of those? I'm going to do her ribbon cutting on Wednesday. It'd be great if I could give that to her.
Yes.
Perfect.
I will get her.
Are you
one
driving
printed.
through Poplar Bluff at all, or you can just drop it to Karen actually if you're going to see Karen, but you're not coming through PB?
I will coming back.
Barbara and I will be in Jonesboro tomorrow, and then Wednesday we're both going to be in Cape Girardeau for another training in Cape Girardeau. So is there any way, Barbara, when you're driving through, do you come through Poplar Bluff?
Yeah, I'll come through. I won't, from Jonesboro to Cape, I won't go through Poplar Bluff, I don't believe, but I will coming back. So Thursday, Wednesday afternoon, I can drop it off with Barbara Pelton. I can drop it off at her shop.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay. Yeah, I will print it this morning and I'll have it all ready to go.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
All right, you're welcome.
See you later.
Any other comments, concerns? We are officially done with our what month is this? November Leadership Roundtable.
Have an awesome week, everybody.
All right, you guys too. Bye.
Bye, everybody.